Oh, welcome back to Nolan Knows Podcast, Season 3, 1 and 2 in the books. And big news this year. Got my esteemed colleague now. We have Paul with us. Paul, how you doing? Glad to have you.
I'm excited, man. I can't wait to do this for a season with you. College football is probably my number one sport. If
Hell
I had
yeah.
to pick to see one of my teams win a championship, it's probably going to be my college football team, followed by a close second of the Cowboys. But I love the
Mm-hmm.
sport. It's a great time to talk about it. There's been so many changes this year that I'm sure we're going to dive into. But just the 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 excitement is building.
Oh, yeah. Let me
Yeah.
ask you, you like the transfer portal?
I do like the transfer portal because I think it gives people an opportunity to move around if they're buried on the depth chart.
Yeah.
What I don't like about it is name recognition. So there's people flying all over the place. Like Riley Leonard, I think could have been a great story for Duke. He's a
Mm-hmm.
good example. And then he goes off, and now, he's a popular guy in a completely different spot that you have to get used to. So it is a little bit of a merry-go-round and musical chairs that you got to sort of just reorient yourself with every single year. But I think overall it just makes it more competitive for
Yeah,
the
even Dylan
teams.
Gabriel, man. Going to
Well,
Oregon, leaving
that's another great
Oklahoma.
example. So we'll talk about
Jesus.
me and my teams, but I mean
Yeah.
Dylan Gabriel is obviously close to my heart. And yeah,
Well, we could
him go.
start out with that. Well,
Okay,
I'm a Rutgers fan. Everybody knows that. Rutgers, I mean, Paul is a close Rutgers fan, graduated from there, but is top dog if you want to take it.
yeah. So I'm a huge Oklahoma Sooners fan. I don't exactly know the origin of how I became one, but it is my team for sure. I do root for Rutgers. They are my second team. Obviously, I did go there, but in the past, it was just hard to get behind Rutgers because they're a team that doesn't have national championship aspirations. You're
Yeah,
sort
they
of
suck.
rooting. Right. So you're rooting for them to have a good season, and what that meant was like 8-4, 7-5, 9-3 on the off years. And
We
once
need
they
to
got
change that.
we do, and I actually think this year might be a step in the right direction for them.
Yeah,
And we'll get into that.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, just to break down the show for any new listeners, pretty much discussing the picks, the ones we like. This year, we're going to be doing pretty much week by week what me and Paul like, and then also a little guest college football simulation, see what the college football 2025. Uh, I do my own little algorithm on it. It's not just one game, and then I'll take the line from that. It's a bunch of injuries involved, the weather. So there's a little component to it. So we'll see how that goes for
It's
this year. But we'll keep all three picks going on this year.
excellent. And speaking of the algorithm, remind me, what was last year's overall? Was it good? The first year, I
Yeah.
forget, one of them was through the roof and the other was less good.
I can't
What's
remember
it?
the first year, to be honest with you. But last year, 67-47 overall, 18
Great,
units positive. So
great
we'll take that
season.
any day.
Any day, absolutely. Awesome.
Hey, man, we don't unit stream around here. Let me just
No,
say that. But if you
definitely
were
not.
betting $1,000, $18,000,
That'd be good.
it wouldn't be bad.
No.
All right. So some top football news off season, obviously transfer portal. You have a bunch, but some notables. I usually just go by quarterbacks, but there's definitely some good defenders out there. But I like this Will Howard from Kansas State transferring over to Ohio State. I think that was a big pickup by Ohio
Yeah,
State.
I watched them a lot at Kansas State because they were in the Big 12, played Oklahoma a bunch, and he's definitely a gamer. I think he'll bring a lot to Ohio State. That roster, by the way, and I'm sure we'll get into
Oh, stacked.
our picks. It is stacked. They've
It's
got
crazy.
Caleb Downs as a safety. He was a true freshman at Alabama last year, and he's already preseason All-American hype. He is going to be a stud this year and next year, and I'm sure he'll be like a first-round pick in the NFL draft. So
I'm coming
they,
out
they
with
are
it now. I
loaded.
think Ohio State's winning the Big Ten. I mean, it is jam packed with some talented teams, but I mean, if Will Howard stays healthy, I can't see them losing, to be
I mean,
honest.
who's their biggest rival? Is it just Michigan
Yeah, but
and
Michigan's
Oregon, I
even down
guess?
this year, losing Harbaugh, losing McCarthy. They lose some notable guys on defense. I mean, I don't know. They're ranked 8th right now, I think. I want to say preseason overall, but I'm not seeing
You
it, to
expect
be
that to
honest
come
with you.
down. I expect that to come down too. I think they're in line for a big regression. I do like Oregon a lot. I
Oh
think
yeah.
that they could definitely challenge Ohio
Hey,
State. But
Dylan
if
Gabriel, we brought him up.
that's right, but if you just look from a pure talent perspective, Ohio State is the top of the leaderboard for sure. Them, Georgia are the 1-2. Anything else? I mean, I guess Oregon, but we'll see.
Yeah.
We got a long season.
One I do like too is Cam Ward. He was a quarterback at Washington State, transferred over to Miami, and I like Miami as a dark horse team. Actually, I'm going to mention a couple teams that I think are going to make. I don't think we discussed this, but I made like a little preseason prediction for the college football playoff. We could get that into that next week though too, since week 0 we're not really have too much going on with these games. But as soon
Yeah,
as you dive that more into more games, we could try and narrow it down a little bit better.
yeah. So we talked about a couple of the transfers. We're not going to get too far into the weeds on it because I'm just excited for the season. I'm ready for the teams as they exist now. But what are your thoughts on the 12 team playoff?
I do love it. I think it would have been better with 8, but if you're the
Fair.
way that it's structured and what I read on it, you get your top 4 get buys, then 5 through 12 play, and 5 plays 12, whatever, so on and so on. But
Yep.
you get to do the home field advantage. You play the first round's probably going to be at the higher seeds this year, which is cool. You get a playoff game on campus, which I think is awesome. Then you move into the quarterfinals, semifinals, and the finals are at neutral sites. But it'll be interesting to see who gets home field against a lot of these top teams. Maybe a Conference USA or like an AAC team sneaks in there, but I really don't see any top teams like that. Maybe they sneak up there, but I'm seeing a lot of Power Four. Can't really say Power Five anymore conferences, but a lot of the
Yeah.
Power Four teams in it for sure. What about you?
Yeah. So, well, first and foremost, RIP to the Pac-12. It
Sad.
was Pac-12 After Dark was a hell of an
The
event.
best. Now we got Mountain
Yeah.
West.
Now we got Mountain West. But I love the 12 team playoff. I think it's gonna bring a lot of energy to some of the mid-level teams. And when I say mid-level, I mean like the Penn States, even honestly like Oklahoma, Ole Miss, all these teams that were on the bubble where a 4 team was never really in the cards outside of an extraordinary year. It just keeps the fan bases engaged
For sure.
longer,
You
I
never
think.
know what's going to happen.
Exactly. I mean, 12 teams. I originally also agreed I liked 8, but 12 teams is still fine with me. I did hear some people saying, they think it waters down the regular season and it's more of like an NFL style where if you have a 9-1 team going against another 9-1 team, it doesn't really matter. But I think that's kind of nonsense, honestly. As the season progresses, and if you have 2 teams that are at the top that are both going to make the a playoff, you want that home field advantage.
Oh yeah.
And also you want that bye more than anything. So I think it still brings a lot of excitement, and it's just gonna keep a lot of teams in it for longer throughout the season. I think that's good overall for the sport. It gives all the mid majors an opportunity because they have that one auto bid.
Yeah.
So it's all
You
good
look
from
at
there.
even like those AAC teams like Tulane had a good season last year. Maybe you see like sneak in like a Coastal Carolina if they're undefeated in theirs, they might pop in. It gives them kind of a shot. Because other than that, they're just looking at maybe a good bowl game they make, a BCS game, but that doesn't really mean anything at the end of the day. And it gives these guys something to play for because you're seeing a lot of these guys are going to the NFL and they want to focus on that. And they don't want to play in this game that means absolutely nothing, risk of getting hurt. So now you're
Yeah,
seeing more games that actually mean something. So I do like that.
exactly. Yeah, I think it's overall good for the sport. It's going to keep growing the game. It's at a fever pitch right now. I don't think there's ever been as much interest. The TV rights deals, all the money that goes into it, it is just
Oh yeah, big
one
money
of the
maker
top,
for sure.
big money maker.
That's what it's all about.
And just going back real quick to talk about college football, my love for it, it just the SEC motto is it means more, and I just think that's what it is. These fan bases are rabid. They love to go tailgate, root their team on.
Oh yeah,
It's just the atmosphere is unrivaled in my opinion.
especially with the additions of Oklahoma and Texas. I gotta tell you, those were, I mean, smart moves by those two teams, and I'm sure the SEC is glad to have them. But they're definitely gonna have their work cut out for them going against these top teams. So we'll see how Texas and Oklahoma fare.
Yeah, and just talking on Oklahoma quickly because that is my team.
Let's
Um,
hear it, baby.
Yeah, I'm really excited for them this year. I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic. I was tired of the Big 12 run where it's you play Texas and then you kind of hold your nose through the rest of the season, just hoping you don't slip up and sneak into the playoff and not really do anything. We did
Yeah.
that song and dance 3 times.
Hey man,
Now, but
I was gonna say, man, big. I like Venables. Honestly, I think he's gonna turn this team around, get him
me
to be
too.
more defensive, especially in the SEC. A lot of great defensive teams in this conference, but him
Yeah.
getting on the chart with that, I think it's a big improvement.
Yeah, I mean, I've been following the recruiting rankings. They've been killing it on both sides of the ball, honestly, but especially on defense. And this is the perfect year for them to move in because they still, like I said, if we have a brutal schedule, but if we drop a couple games, we can still be on the bubble of the playoff, and
For sure.
it's a much better measuring stick. Um, it's just going to bring a ton of excitement. So
Well, even last year's rankings. Hold on, let's see.
I think they were
Ooh.
11th or 12th, so they were right on the bubble.
So yeah, 11th and 12th teams: Arizona and LSU, 10-3, 10-3. Oklahoma's right behind them, 10-3.
Yep.
Penn State's right there in Notre Dame. So you'll see a lot of teams. It's going to come down to the playoff committee making that decision at the end of the day. Who gets
Yeah.
that 12th, 11th spot? Should be
and
interesting, honestly.
and just looking at those teams, I mean, those are huge brands,
Oh yeah.
massive brands that are going to be vying to get in. I think there's going to be a lot of material for talking heads, which maybe
Mm-hmm.
we're going to become. We'll see.
Hopefully.
But there's going to be debates over those teams, and at the end of the day, it is still very, very top heavy. I assume Ohio State, Georgia for this year is, going to be in there. But listen, you
Yep.
get into a playoff and it's, 3
Hey,
games you got to win. Anything can happen. Anything
exactly.
can happen. So I'm raring to go. Can't wait for it. Week 0 coming up. A little bit of an appetizer, and then we
You
get
think
into it.
Oklahoma makes it?
I don't think they will this year, but I do think they'll be one of those teams that is right there. Their win total right now is 7.5, I believe. I mean, they have a
Ooh,
brutal schedule.
yeah.
They probably need to go 9-3 in order to make it, but they have games against Alabama. They've got Texas, obviously. They got Missouri, who everyone's high on. They go to Auburn, which is never easy. They've got one more. They got LSU at Death Valley,
Yeah,
and
that's pretty tough.
they bring Tennessee to town for their first SEC game, which is going to be a crazy environment, but
Can't
not an
wait.
easy game. Yeah, can't wait.
All right, now we talked about Oklahoma. We got to touch on Rutgers.
Yeah, I'm excited for Rutgers too.
I am
Start it
too. I
off.
mean, a lot of.
What's the over under?
So they're at 6 right
Okay.
now. And I think, I mean, me
After
being
after we
optimistic.
after we talk about it, let's just go through their schedule, do a little win loss
Yeah,
for
yeah.
the folks.
So they got rid of Gavin Wims at quarterback, which I do like. I don't know how this guy was rated 4-star. I hate to be too rough
Couldn't
on
throw
this
the
guy, but
ball.
I'm tough on this team, honestly. I want them to do good. That's what we talk about. I'm tired of these. We're okay with a pinstripe bowl, for Christ's sakes. You know what I mean? I want to make this tournament. I want to be one of the top teams here in the Big Ten now. What are we doing?
Yeah,
But
I totally agree. I mean, Shiano's had some time now too. He's a good coach and he will get the boys playing at hard at a minimum, even if they don't have the best talent. I mean, I am a junkie in the recruiting, and it hasn't been great. It's been for Rutgers. It's been a lot of mid 3 stars, maybe here and there a couple 4 stars,
they
which
did recruit this guy, AJ Saras. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but at a Notre Dame high school in New
mhm.
Jersey, rated 4 stars. So
What
from what
position?
I read, quarterback.
Okay.
Maybe we're looking at different things, but we'll
No,
see
no,
how
that's
he
fair.
we'll see how he does. He was first team All State, all that, and I think he was number in the top 30 in the nation of quarterbacks. So I mean, they have Athen. They bring Athen Kalimakis. I don't even know how to pronounce this guy's last name either. Jesus, Kalikomanis from Minnesota. He's all right. He's not gonna win us. He's not going to be the reason we win games. Essentially, it's going to be
Yeah.
our defense, which is
Defense.
filled with a ton of seniors, and Manungai at running back, which I'm excited about. We're going to be a run heavy team and play defense. That's what we got to do.
Yep.
But look, talking about their schedule, let's talk about that. It's just they don't have anybody. You don't have to play Ohio State anymore. You don't have to play Michigan anymore. You don't have to play Penn State anymore. Awesome.
Yeah. I mean, when I
Two,
first looked at it, I was shocked to see the draw they got. It is a dream draw for the
oh
Big
yeah,
Ten, especially with the additional teams. I mean, right now they have one ranked team on there. That's USC, and that's
yep,
ranked 23. Just scanning it quickly, Virginia Tech.
gonna be a tough
Um,
one.
that at Virginia Tech, I'm kind of high on Virginia Tech this year. I
Me
think they're going
too.
to have a bit of a better season.
Dark horse
Um,
team out of ACC for sure.
yeah, that'll be a good measuring stick game. I mean, they do have Washington, obviously, but um,
Lose a lot from last year,
they lose a
obviously.
lot. They lost
Penix.
their coach, right? Wisconsin's on there. I'm happy to go through the exercise and do a little win loss and see what we come to here.
Let's say, well, you're winning the first two games for sure. I think they could beat
Yes,
Washington. I think Virginia Tech's a loss. I'm not gonna lie. Nebraska's gonna be a tough one.
Wisconsin at home, another tough one. You're winning or you're losing at least one of those at Nebraska versus Wisconsin.
But their
So,
last four, you're looking at Minnesota, Maryland, Illinois, Michigan State. Maryland will be a tough one with Tua's brother at quarterback, but that's a winnable game too. Like I think you're looking at 7, 8 wins here, and I think they could probably pull an upset against UCLA or USC here. I mean USC, I don't think will be too bad this year, especially it's at USC, 11
mhm.
p.m. at night, East
That's
Coast,
probably
West
the
Coast.
only loss on their schedule that I say they have for
That's a
sure.
definite, yeah.
Right, and maybe not, but that's the only caliber team where they're severely outclassed. I mean, maybe Washington, but like we said, they lost a lot there, so it's not a gauntlet by any means. I think they can definitely flirt with that win total.
Oh yeah, and then I don't know if you saw this, Kirk Herbstreit, dark horse to make the tournament, Rutgers.
I didn't see that. Wow,
Yep.
that's impressive.
Well,
That's
I mean,
shocking.
he was mentioning the schedule and everything, but yeah,
Yeah, it's definitely possible if they go 10-2, right? But knowing Rutgers over the last few years, I mean, where did they finish
yeah,
last
nah,
year? Was it 7-5?
somewhere around there in pinstripe, I believe.
Yeah. I mean, so they made a bowl, so it's obviously at least 6 wins.
Don't want that bowl. I don't want that
No,
bowl though.
no, nobody wants that bowl.
Nah, yeah, 7-6. They beat Miami in the pinstripe bowl.
All right, so they were 6-6, and they won the
Gavin
bowl
Wimsatt
game.
with a stellar 84 yards passing.
If we can just get away from that, the
Need a
double
quarterback.
digit passing yards, we need to be throwing hundreds, two hundreds.
It's pathetic, is
It
what it
is, it
is.
is. Just somebody that can throw the ball, please.
All right. Anything you want to touch on before we dive into week 0?
I mean, I think we covered it all. There's obviously been a ton with all the realignment and stuff like that. I guess one more thing before we dive into week 0. What are your thoughts on the realignment? Are you one of those that is stuck in, these are the teams and these are the coasts that I want to see play together in clusters, or you're thinking this is good, a little change up?
You know, I think it's going to turn out for the better, honestly. Like, I like the move from Texas, Oklahoma move, and it's a little weird USC and UCLA being in the Big Ten, but I think in the long run it's going to make sense. However, I did like the Pac-12 last year. I thought they were the best overall conference from
Yeah, they were strong.
best team to worst. Yeah, one of the best teams I thought. I mean, yeah, Arizona, Oregon State wasn't bad, UCLA, USC. You had some good teams out there. Every game was a game, the only shitty team really was Arizona State. But I think in the long run it will turn out to be better. It's just like an adjustment period. We'll all get used to it and see that this was probably for the better. What
Yeah.
about you?
I,
What do you think?
I agree. I mean, part of me liked the historical conferences and all the rivalries, but you look at the schedule and you peek at like October 12th, and you've got Oregon, Ohio State, Texas, and
Hmm.
Oklahoma in the SEC. I forget the other ones, but it is loaded with new games.
A lot more notable games for
A
sure.
lot more notable games. I mean, again, just speaking of Oklahoma, I was tired of Baylor, Kansas State, Texas Tech. No disrespect to them, but they just don't compete with Tennessee, Auburn, LSU. It's just a totally different ball game, and I think it's ultimately gonna be better for the sport. Even the Big 12, who lost Oklahoma and Texas, I mean, they reloaded, and that's gonna be a hell of a conference. That's gonna be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, watch out. Bringing in Utah, bringing
Utah,
in
yeah.
Arizona. Arizona's, I think, is gonna have a big year. I think they're gonna
Hmm.
make the tournament too, to be honest with you. And
Yeah.
bringing in my boy Dion from Colorado, they'll bring some
Also,
hype to it.
yeah, let's
But
let's just
Kansas,
real
good.
quick talk on them actually because they're such a lightning rod for Buzz. What are your thoughts? I don't even think I've ever asked you about this. What do you think about Colorado?
I mean, I like the hype. I like how they're trying to, boost themselves up every game. But last year coming in against Oregon, they were riding high going into that game, but talking a lot of shit. And then you actually come down to earth. I think they lost 44-6 at Oregon, which I
Yeah,
think was a good thing for them. They needed that. But I do like. I mean, I'm a Dion fan. Obviously, play for the Cowboys. But I do like the hype around them. Shador Sanders, definitely one of the top quarterbacks in the league. Um, I like them. I think they're going to have an all right year this year. I don't think they're going to make any too much noise. But I think they'll make a bowl. I think they'll probably go around like 8-4.
8-4. Wow, that's a really good improvement.
Yeah, I'm seeing around 8 wins over there they could do because they start out North Dakota State. I mean, which will be a tough D1 AA team.
Yeah, it's still
But
D1 AA.
yeah, they'll win that. Colorado State, they'll beat Baylor, they'll beat UCLA, UCF, Cincinnati, Texas Tech. I mean, they play Utah and Arizona, which will definitely be tough games, and Kansas with Jalen Daniels. He's good, so
Yeah,
they got their work cut out for them. But I think they could definitely improve from last season.
yeah, I agree, and I like them. I think they're fun. I think they're cool.
Yeah, it adds a little spice to the season, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, if it wasn't for Dion, like Colorado would be nothing, and it would just be it's just extra. I won't
Yeah, you won't
apologize
even
for
pass
having
them
an extra
off.
team to talk
Yeah.
about. So it's overall good in my opinion. Cool.
No. You want to dive into it?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. First game leading off the season, Florida State versus Georgia Tech in Dublin, Ireland, 12 p.m. Eastern time. And this line's been a little jumpy. Started at a 12. Now I'm reading down to 10.5. So you got some money on Georgia Tech. And, I'm going to tell you my pick right now, and then I'll get into a little bit of the some background on this game. But I'm going Georgia Tech. Florida State loses a lot. I mean, Jordan Travis, then they lose their leading rusher Trey Benson,
Yeah,
number 1 and 2 wide receivers Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson, and then Jaheim Bell, their tight end. Then they lose two linebackers, Tatum Bethune and Kalen Deluge, and then they lose their sack leader Jared Vance, and then Braden Fisk, a D tackle to the NFL. So you're seeing a lot of top guys leaving. They do add DJ Ukulele from Oregon State, the quarterback. Yeah, no, I can't. How do you pronounce that last name?
I don't know. You did a great job, honestly.
But
Ugalele, something like that.
something like that. But I'm not high on him. He's not a playmaker. I mean, he started at Clemson, went to Oregon State last year. I mean, he's a good sound
Yeah, he
quarterback.
was all
He's a
right
game
there.
manager, but he's not. I don't think he's gonna make a play like games where he's doing blowouts by himself. I'm just
Right.
not seeing it. But they had a couple guys that don't have a lot of experience, like Roydell Williams at running back, and then wide receiver Malik Benson from Bama. But again, these two didn't get too much time, so it's tough to say what they're going to look like. They do have Mike Norvell as head coach, so it's going to be interesting to see what he does with a lot of new faces, the lack of an experience. I mean, he is a hell of a coach. They made it to playoff last year, but Jordan Travis went down and they got absolutely smoked by Georgia. But I can't see a team with this many losses and not as much coming in being able to go over to Dublin and beating Georgia Tech by more than 10.5. I liked it at 12, obviously. I'm still taking it at 10.5. Um,
Any
Georgia
you?
Tech, my bad.
No, you're good.
But Georgia Tech, turning Haynes King, quarterback, he was at Texas A&M beforehand. He's dual threat. Definitely could limit the turnovers, but they also bring back their lean rusher, Jamal Haynes, rush for over 1,000 yards, and then two top wide receivers, Singleton Jr. and Rutherford. So they could fill in for King to give him some more, offensive tools, which I think they'll need. I mean, one notable stat I had on Georgia Tech last season, 33rd rank in the nation against the run defense, and I expect that's what a lot of Florida State's offense is going to look like when they start out, is try to get a feel for that, try to get the ball on the ground, and try to get DJ, comfortable, try to get him some short down distances on third down. But I think Georgia Tech's going to stop that. I think they're going to have a lot of third and longs, second and longs for DJ to make some plays, and I just don't think he could do it. I'm taking Georgia Tech plus 1.5.
Good.
You got a play here?
This one for me, I struggle. This is actually the only one I do have a play, and it's the over. So I think
Okay.
that
My bad. Let me. So the under over is at 55.5. I did not mention that.
no worries. Yeah, 55.5. I just think the defenses are going to struggle a little bit. First game of the season, I just think they're going to be throwing the ball all over the place, and even when there's turnovers, I think they're going to be ugly turnovers that might lead to touchdowns or good field position for the opponent. It's just the first game, week 0 in Ireland. I don't know. Something tells me that the offenses are going to come out firing. Um, I don't have a great pulse on the teams, to be honest with you. I know Florida State lost a lot. And I know about Haynes King, and I think he's a scrambler for sure and can make
Yeah.
some plays.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know enough to pick a side. And really, the over for me is just more of a feel on the first game of the season in Ireland. Everyone being very jumpy, ugly game, but a
Yeah.
shootout.
Hey, like I mentioned before, these teams are, well, Florida State, a lot of new faces on defense. They might not be as in sync. It takes a few games to get you guys,
Yeah,
playing together, get that build that team chemistry.
yeah,
So you gotta feel each other out. You gotta trust each other. It's not easy, especially on a
yeah.
college football level. It takes a lot of time and effort for that, and getting a few games under your belt before the team comes into fruition for sure.
Yeah, and
And
I don't know what it is. I do feel like the line is higher than I thought it would be, which makes me like it even more.
yeah, and
It seems like a high line for the first game of the season in Ireland, but I think there's going to be some fireworks.
yeah, and Notre Dame did put. I mean, they were playing Navy last year, but they did put up a 42 spot last year.
Hmm.
So you could see maybe a lot of passes through the air. We'll see. I mean, they did have Sam Hartman last year. Notre Dame, he was a good quarterback, but also Navy doesn't throw the ball, so
Right. Yeah.
we'll
I'm a
see
little
how this
worried
one
about the
turns out.
weather, but it is what it
What
is. Because I haven't even looked at it, but I just know Ireland rains and
rain? Yeah,
cloudy. But honestly, that might help some scooping scores as well. So it's a weird pick for sure. It's the least. I don't know. This week 0 is really hard for me to give um,
hey,
any
not a
real
lot.
great insight. Well, there's no data, no nothing. But I
Yeah,
want to get on the board. I want to start playing. So I'm going with the over.
all right. So I'm going Georgia Tech plus 10.5. Paul's got the over 55.5. So college football simulator has Georgia Tech covering. So they're gonna be on Georgia Tech too as well. And they actually have the over. They had the over at 66.
All right. I don't know
All
if that's
right,
good or
so
bad for us.
yeah, either do I. We'll see. I
We'll
mean, this
see.
is the algorithm, the top
Yeah,
dog.
yeah, that's right.
All
Cool.
right. I mean, there's not a lot of games to even pick from. We have 4 games, you know what I mean, and three of
Yeah,
them are with
and
two
I
of them
have
are
no
with
feel
D1
on
AA
that.
teams. Yeah.
Right, like I said, I'm a Power Four guy. Um, Montana State, New Mexico. I know a bit about SMU, but I love taking Hawaii on the island. Obviously,
Oh yeah.
that's just been one of those things we've been doing for years here. But
You see
I
what that
would be
line
lying.
is?
What is it? At 35 or something?
39.5
Yeah,
Hawaii. That's
crazy.
unbelievable.
Well, I also
Like,
saw
who's even taking
Delaware
that?
State had trouble getting to the goddamn airport, if you can believe it.
Jesus.
So they're getting in late. It's a mess for sure. But I mean, 39 and a half or 38 and a half, whatever you said, that's tough to pick either which way.
All right, then we'll just touch on Montana State and New Mexico, then SMU and Nevada real quick. But the 4 o'clock game, Montana State at New Mexico. Montana State D1 AA team favored by 11, under over 54.5. I have a lean here, not gonna make it a play, but I would take New Mexico here just because they kept getting a lot of games close a season ago when they play at home, and they just weren't able to string a couple wins together in a row. They lose their starting quarterback, Dylan Hopkins, and lose their starting running back, Ja'Cory Kreskin, Merritt. But watching Montana State, they're a run-heavy team. They return starting cornerback Tommy Mallet and the running back Julius Davis, very run-heavy. It favors them just because New Mexico was ranked 103rd last year against the run. So it's definitely plays into Montana State's favor in matchup wise. However, playing at New Mexico, playing against a Division One team, New Mexico's used to playing these teams consistently throughout the season. I think they could cover a double point spread at home, but we'll see. And you don't
Uh,
have anything on this, do you?
I got nothing on this. I'd be lying if I said I had much info on these teams.
Yeah, Montana State didn't even make the Division One AA tournament last year. They were 8-4 and we're out of it.
Yeah,
So I mean, I think they're gonna make it this year. I don't know a lot with the
I
Division One
it,
AA teams, but
yeah, I do remember New Mexico being pretty terrible last year.
yeah, they weren't too good. I think they were like 4-8, but they play in the
Yeah.
Mountain West also.
Mm.
All right. We'll touch on SMU 8 p.m. game. SMU at Nevada. SMU coming in as 25.5 point faves. Total 56.5. Now, SMU, another team that made a switch from the AAC to the ACC. So we'll see how they favor in the ACC. I mean, you got a few good teams in there, but they were the winners of the AAC last year. They have Preston Stone at quarterback, who is
I like
very
him.
good. Yeah, he's good. He'll make some noise for sure.
Yeah.
They return pretty much their whole offense, which is huge. That's pretty much their, bread and butter. Lose a couple defensive linemen, but return majority of their linebackers and their secondary. Expect another good year from them. I think they'll put up a fight against a lot of these teams. I mean, they open up with Nevada, Houston Christian, BYU, and TCU, so I think they can make those games good games. Then Nevada last year, 2-10 overall. They return their starting quarterback, but they're not. They're not. He's Brandon Lewis. He's just not as good as what they need exactly. So 2-10 returning their starting quarterback's not. He pretty much should have gotten Gavin Wims at his quarterback, and he probably could have
Oof.
started there. Yeah, but
And SMU won the ACC, or not the ACC. I'm sorry, the American Football Championship last
yeah.
year, right?
So they can make some noise. I think they'll be able to hold their own in some of these games. But if I had to pick a team in this, I'd probably go with SMU. But I'm staying away from this game as well.
Yeah. Good call. I don't know. I have a lot of name recognition with SMU, but not enough to really know one way or the other here. I know almost nothing about Nevada.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Let's see.
These, you know what? These week zeros, it's always such a little bit of a tease because you got college football coming back, and we do have the Florida State Georgia Tech game, but these other ones are just background for me.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little warm up. I mean, the appetizer isn't. It's like you're getting some mozzarella sticks from Applebee's right now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
So the
I'm
college
excited to watch
football,
game day and just have them talk through everything. That's really the thing that I look forward to most on this week zero.
yeah, that's true. Get you back into the swing of things. But the college football week 0 simulator, the algorithm, took Nevada
Okay.
plus the points. So another play for the simulator. We'll give it to them. We'll see how they fare. All right, just to recap the picks, I'm going Georgia Tech plus the 11 or plus the 10.5 now. Paul's going the over in the Georgia Tech Florida State game, 55.5. College football simulators got the over in that game and taking Georgia Tech as well. And they're also taking Nevada with the points. Let's see. You got anything else for me, bud?
Nothing else on week zero. Was there another game you wanted to touch on, or?
Well, some week 1 notables that are coming up. You know, we got a big game on Thursday night, Rutgers versus Howard.
Yeah. What's the line
We'll
on
touch
that?
on that.
40?
I don't think it's come out yet. I hope it's not that high. I'd probably take Howard. But then Friday night, you got Colorado. Actually, I don't know if this is Thursday or Friday, but Colorado against North Dakota State. That's a 9-point spread.
Yeah, that's a good game.
Then you got Clemson, Georgia. Georgia's favored by 14. That'll be
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, I'm still looking into that one. We'll definitely. So I think as we go forward, we're going to pick probably what 5 games to talk about each week, and
However
pick
many
us
you
out.
want, baby.
Probably around that. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. Maybe we'll do more.
Yeah.
That one will definitely be on the list because it's a marquee matchup. Um, it should be a good game. How
I
do you
also
feel
like
about
this.
Dabo Sweeney? You know,
I
he
like.
he
I
takes
mean, he
he
bitches
takes
about the
no
transfer portal, but
transfers.
yeah, I know. He's him and Gundy. You know, they're just stuck in that
Yeah,
old college football shit. But you gotta make adjustments. These are the fucking rules now.
that's what I'm saying.
Making an adjustment. What are you doing? You know what I mean? You
Yeah,
gotta you gotta
stuck
you
in the
gotta
Stone
play the
Age.
rules. Yeah, exactly. But also Miami at Florida next week, 2.5-point spread. I gotta say, I like Miami here, even though it's at Gainesville. I think Miami's gonna have a big year.
All right.
Then
So
also,
in that vein, I was gonna say, give me one team that you think is gonna really overachieve, and one team that you think is gonna underachieve severely.
so I got 2 teams that are
Put
going
you
to
on the spot.
overachieve. I think I'm like in Miami and Arizona. I think both those
Okay.
teams are going to make the playoff, and one team that is not is probably going to be my pick's going to be Michigan. I think they're going to drop out.
Drop
I
off.
just don't like them. Yeah. What about you?
Underachiever, I'm gonna say Missouri. I think they won a lot of coin flip games last year. Their schedule is pretty easy. However, I think they're just a little overrated. I mean, they have Brady Cook and they got Luther Burden, who's a certified
Mm-hmm.
stud, but they lost their defensive coordinator. And I just think there's going to be a little bit of a regression to the mean there. Them playing Oklahoma is going to be a huge game later on in the
Yeah.
season. Yeah, so that is my underachiever. And my overachiever, I'm going between two. Um, I don't know. I want to say Penn State, but I don't know if you can necessarily because I do think Penn State winds up making the playoff, but I don't know if that would necessarily be them overachieving. So let me just
They
scratch
are
them
ranked
out.
8 right now, but
Yeah, yeah. So I guess that's not really good. I do pick them for the playoff. I think they're gonna make it. I think it might actually be Texas A&M. Everyone's always kind of down on them. They're the heel of a lot of jokes because they have a cult fan base, which it's 100% true. But I think they can mess around and potentially sneak
tough
into the
week 1
backside.
opener for them.
Yeah, yeah, very tough
Notre
week one
Dame,
opener.
maybe. Ooh.
Yeah, I mean that may be a loss, but it wouldn't surprise me if they went out and won that game actually.
Yeah, it's a home game field. I mean, home game for them, and they're 12th man.
Oh, well, yeah, that's gonna be loud. I have no real pulse on Notre Dame yet. I really kind of want to see them in action before I make a decision. Like Riley Leonard was really good last year running the ball, but he's coming off a torn ACL, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see. I don't know. So yeah,
Eh,
Texas A&M will be my overachiever, even though I kind of hate to say it, and Missouri will be my underachiever.
all right, I like it. All right, you got
Any
anything else for
other?
me?
I think that's it. It was a good first episode.
For sure. Glad to have you on, baby.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really, like I said, looking forward to it. We're gonna keep doing it. If we got 1, 2, 0 viewers, I
Nah,
don't
we
care.
average about 10.
10? All
So,
right, we can get to 10. That could be a milestone.
hey, we get up to 20. That's doubling the numbers. You never know.
Hell yeah. Let's do it.
All right. Well, thank you for everybody tuning in. Subscribe, unsubscribe, subscribe again. It's all very much appreciated. I'll post it on the Twitter at CMeds11. Leave some comments. Whatever you guys got to do, we'll read them out. Talk shit, whatever you got to do. We appreciate everything, all the buzz. And hopefully we build something here.
Hell yeah. Let's have a good season.
Let's do it.
All righty. Take care.
See ya.